Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I have my Draven brother mug. This is from a fun shop I can link it down below, but it's, if you've read Broken Bonds, like the Bonds of Tie series by Jay Bree, this is based off of that with the Shadow Dobermans. I love this mug, it's so cool. Well, I just got off of work and I have about 0% energy, but I needed to film this because I need to film it and edit it and get it up for you guys because the book comes out tomorrow. So today's video is going to be a book review on Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. So I found this at my Barnes & Noble a little bit early, but I did listen to it on Netgalley. Netgalley sent me the audiobook in advance for me to listen to and review, and so I'm gonna kind of go through my thoughts with you guys, but I do have a physical copy. So let's just get into it. But first off, I would like to talk about the book itself. So it's this really pretty gold pattern with this really cool, I don't even know, like map kind of thing with clouds in the middle and some dragons on it. The spine is actually really pretty. Like if you saw that on your bookshelf, that would be really nice. But with the first print run, they're doing this with all their books. So just their normal books. It's not like a special edition like Barnes & Noble, whatever. It's just the first print run. They're doing black sprayed edges, but then they're doing this stenciled on the, like this part of the pages. And it's so cool because they're all different types of dragons. I really love that. Nothing on the hardcover besides the spine, but this is kind of like a, it's soft. I don't know. I feel like this texture is a little bit different. And the end pages have some maps, which is super cool. And then there's also another map on the inside of the War College itself. So now that we've looked at the book a little bit, let me just tell you my thoughts on this book. So I read this, it was a pretty long audiobook. Like I'm not sure, it's just about 500 pages. So it's not like the longest book I've ever read, but the audiobook was like 20 hours. So it takes a little bit longer than, you know, say an 8-hour book, but it was really interesting. So first off, let me just tell you the plot of this. You're following the main character, Violet, who is the daughter of a war general. And she's being enlisted to go to this war college, but she is chronically ill. So there's a chronically ill rep in this as she's the main character. And it's, I don't know the term, they don't necessarily call it a term, but they say that she's sick. Her bones are really brittle. She gets injured very easily. That's kind of like her going into it. She was training her whole life to be a scribe and not to go to this war college and train in these like really brutal scenarios, really physical. And if you survive long enough in this war college, you get to go to threshing, which is where you potentially get a dragon to bond with you and you become a dragon rider. And this is all in your first year of the war college. So you're picking up the book, like the first page, where her mother is enlisting her in this war college and she's kind of afraid, but she's accepted it. I thought that plot was really interesting going into it because you're kind of scared for her. You're like, how is she gonna even live? And that's basically what other people think as well. They think like, there's no way you're gonna survive. So that's the first part of this plot. And then there's obviously a lot of strategy and political things going on with this being a military college that I won't spoil for you, but that's kind of what you're looking at as you start this book. So you're following her as she goes into this war college, right? I thought this was a really interesting book. I really enjoyed all of the different elements to this. So there's a war college, which is super cool. There's also a lot of political intrigue and strategy. One of the dynamics in this book is that there was a rebellion that was crushed previously in previous years, and all of the children from that rebellion, instead of slaughtering all of them, they made them enlist in this war college. Now, this war college is pretty difficult to survive. I think they give you a statistic at some point, but I want to say about 30% or more will die. If like they go to the college, they think they're going to survive, and 30% or more of them will not make it through their first year. You know, there's a high chance of you not surviving when you go into this college, when you enlist. So they send the rebel offspring into the college thinking that they will die, basically. But if they don't die, that they will survive and be loyal to this ruling class. So that was like a very interesting thing to think about as you're going into this as well. You kind of get that a little bit going on. It's not super far into the book at all, but they talk about it more as you go. So there's that dynamic going on. There's also the idea that their city is surrounded by wards that are fueled between the dragons and the riders. There's a magical bond, and if you have a bonded dragon, that's how you get access to magic. You don't get magic without having a dragon. So there is magic in this world, but that's a contingent factor because the dragons have to share it with you, which is also really cool and a really interesting partnership to think about. And so the magic that dragon and rider, make together also contributes to the wards. And these wards are protecting their city because they're saying that there is an enemy army of griffin riders that are trying to infiltrate this, but they can't because of the wards. So they've been safe for centuries, and everything they know about the war was previously, all the documentation, says they've been safe for years, but the wards are kind of starting to fail or not be as strong, and they don't really know why. But the whole point of this book is essentially just Violet and being in this war college. That's 90% of the plot of this book. It gets into more things at the end, and this is going to be a trilogy, I believe. There's at least going to be a book 2 that comes out later this year. I think in like September, November. And another thing to know about this is that when you go to pick your dragons during threshing, the dragons are ruthless, and so they know that they will only pick strong bonds. They will only pick strong riders. And so she, again, going into this college thinking there's no way she's going to survive this, everyone's going to target me, everyone's going to, try to kill me off. If I even make it to threshing, the dragons might kill me. So if the dragons sense weakness, they will kill you. They will like incinerate you, which is crazy. And I feel like how I would kind of describe this book, how it feels, is if Divergent or Hunger Games met Aragon kind of, or Fireborn, probably Fireborn. So the War College is absolutely ruthless. So once you start your trial, so once you've enlisted and you like literally start on the parapet, which is the first trial you have to get to the college, like physically get to it, everyone is out to kill you. So you can kill your opponents. There's certain rules around it when you can and cannot kill, but everyone's trying to kill their opponents, kill the other first years, because they want a higher chance of getting a dragon, because there's fewer and fewer dragons bonding or available to bond. So to better their chances, they will just off you. And it's pretty ruthless and a little bit scary and tense at times. So that's where I get this like Hunger Games Divergent feel. Because if you remember in Divergent, this might be a spoiler for some of you, I apologize, but it's in the first book where they enlist in the Dauntless. One of the cadets, I don't really know what they're called, one of the soldiers in his sleep is attacked and they ruin his eye. They stab him in the eye so that he's handicapped and he has to get ejected from Dauntless. That's kind of the vibe this gets you, is like people are after you because if they don't kill you, they might not make it. So even though this is a college, the stakes are really high at the beginning and it's kind of scary. You're like really invested in the story very quickly, I think. And Fireborn, obviously, because it's dragon riders and a lot of political maneuvering going on. So now that I've kind of spewed different thoughts about this book at you, I'm sorry again if my brain's just not functioning. I loved this book. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It was fantastic. The dragons are so cool. There's different breeds, there's different colors. The way they bond with you manifests your magic, and your magic manifests in different ways, and you don't really know what it's gonna be. It's just so cool. So there's like this elemental magic, not even elemental magic, it's all magic. Like healing, it could be anything. There's this magic element if they bond with the dragons. There's the dragons themselves that are just so ridiculously cool. And they have bonds with you, which is really fun, and like the animal companion aspect. But it's war, so you're bonding together for war and training that way, if you make it to threshing, etc. There's also a lot of obstacles you're facing, obviously this is a underdog story with her trying to like overcome her situation and her illness. Kids of the rebel children kind of hate her because she's the general's daughter. She's facing that. She's facing people that want to off her because she is the general's daughter, or treating her different because she's the general's daughter. There's people that want to kill her because there's, few dragons for people to get. So they're just like, that dragon's mine. Or, it's not even like a specific dragon. It's just they want a better chance, and so they're trying to get to her. Just so many things with like the twists, with the political stuff, with the magic, with the underlying messages, with all of the cultural stuff that's going on. The like found family versus blood family versus childhood friends, like all of that is playing into this. Betrayal, complicated situations, a dark force that may or may not exist, or, is this enemy actually our enemy? Like, there's just so much stuff in this that is so cool and so interesting that I'm not explaining well because I don't want to spoil anything for you. But this was just so good. It's been a while. Well, I'm not gonna say that. I've read a couple 5 stars this year, but I feel like it's been a while since I've felt this excited about a book. And I just love that it was a book that had dragons. This is an adult book. I would like to make that distinction because there is some spice in this. I was not actually expecting there to be spice in this. I thought spice as in adult, but I didn't think it would be, I don't want to say as focused on romance as it was, because that's not the main plot point for this, but there is a romance in this and it is spicy. And I wasn't really expecting that. I feel like if they toned it down a little bit, that wouldn't have affected my enjoyment of this. I still would have loved it a lot, but I think I would have preferred the spice to be a little bit toned down. But being that as it may, I still really loved this. I don't think it's got spice. Like, just if you hate any sort of romance or spice, know that. But I don't think it takes over the plot or the whole book like a lot of fantasy romances do. I would not classify this as a fantasy romance. I would classify this as a fantasy that has romance, and I think that's a very important distinction. But the different dynamics that you're facing, the romance, the enemies, all of it is really, really well done, I think, and just brings a lot of tension and a lot of uncertainty to the table. The ending ripped my heart out a little bit, and I'm very curious to see where she takes this story and how they're gonna just tie everything together. Well, I do want to read you this quote on the back, because this is part of the writer's codex in this book, and I think it's kind of gives you a mindset of what this book is like, in a sense. And it says, "A dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is dead." So just know that. I feel like I'm not talking about this book well. Oh man, that sucks because I really love it. Hopefully this is making sense to you guys, but I would say if you love dragons, you love political fantasy, you love a lot of military situations and scenarios, military school, magical school, a lot of emphasis on the underdog and overcoming your obstacles, a romance. I don't really want to tell you what the romance is because I don't want to ruin it, but a semi-forbidden romance, or like enemies to lovers, maybe romance, betrayal, tension. If any of those themes or buzzwords are sticking out to you, I think you would really enjoy this book. Again, it has some romance in it, so if that's not your thing, maybe this isn't for you, but I think I could overlook that pretty quickly. There's so much of this world that you don't even get to see until the very end of this book that you will get, I believe, in book 2. So the world she's created, the dragons, the magic system, the mythology and the lore that you get in this book, as well as you're coming across with Violet as she's reading this book, a book that her father gave her. There's so many things in this book that was so interesting and really, really fun, and I love it so much. So if you want to read about a war college where you can become a dragon rider if you survive long enough, and then there's a lot of political stuff that happens after, read this book. It was so good. So good. Well, yeah, that was my gushing review and trying to pick apart a little bit of things with the romance and whatnot with Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Like I said, I absolutely loved it and cannot wait to read book 2. Hopefully you enjoyed my review. Hopefully this was helpful and you either know, yes, I want to pick it up, or no, that doesn't sound like it's for me. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video and this review. If you did, please comment down below and let me know. Legend just desperately needs attention right now. Please comment down below and let me know if you want to pick up this book now, or if you decided it's not for you. I would love to know your opinion. But as for now, that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.